Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवर दे कर्मा दे मर तेरे दर ते पुकार दे Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे कर्मा दे मारे तेरे दर ते पुकार तेरे ते गुरु जी मेरा राय राती जोड़ना तेरे ते गुरु जी मेरा राय राती जोड़ना तेरे बाद जो दुनिया थे मेरा कोई और ना Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे कर्मा दे मारे तेरे दर ते पुकार दे शरणमाई तेरी आया मैनू तू कराई ना शरणमाई तेरी आया मैनू तू कराई ना दुख में तेरे पाए और तारीफ आई ना दुख में तेरे पाए और तारीफ आई ना Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे कर्मा दे मारे तेरे दर ते पुकार दे दुख नले तापिया तू दिल मेरा तार दे दुख नाले तापिया तू दिल मेरा तार दे Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे Satguru प्यार मेरी जिंदगी सवार दे कर्मा दे मारे तेरे दर ते पुकार दे Satguru प्यार
question said, we satsangis are a privileged few. How long will it take, Master, to return all souls to the Supreme Being?
All souls.
To the all, okay. To return all souls to the Supreme Being. So we satsangis are a privileged few. How long will it take? How long will it take, Master, to return all souls to the Supreme Being?
It never ends. This process of coming into manifestation and going back to the Absolute, it never began and it will never end. So we can say the souls which are on this planet at this time, but this planet is just a tiny particle in the whole universe. So how many souls are incarnated in the whole universe? That's the point. It's endless. That also it's endless. Because the nature of the infinite is endless. So anything in this manifestation is endless in number. How can it be endless? There must be a number. One can say there is no number. So we can consider the souls of this planet, because we live on this planet and we are mainly concerned with this planet. We are at a certain evolutionary stage. On other planets, on other solar systems, they may be much more advanced. And they may be also much backwards regarding to us, comparing to us. So this also, what in my understanding, in the whole universe, there is always going on from the very beginning to the very end. So there are souls that just come into manifestation and begin the whole journey from the mineral to the vegetation, to the insects, to the animals, to the human, to the angels, to the God or gods. That's what Maulana Rumi says. First I came as a mineral, then I became a plant, then I became an insect, then I became an animal, then I became a human being. But that's not the end. Then I will become an angel. And that also is not the end. The Absolute, it's our goal. The Absolute, it's our home, the place where we belong. So in the whole universe there is always this beginning and this end. Coming into manifestation, going back to the Absolute. And this planet at this time is still very backwards. We can say that in this last century there has been quite an evolutionary jump. But up to 200 years ago, this planet was really the Stone Age, I could say. Now so many things are discovered, not just philosophically, but also scientifically, because that's very important. Science and philosophy, they have to go together. Because philosophy finds intuitively something, but you have to demonstrate it for the general public to accept it. Very bright people, they have said it long ago, that soon we will come into a time in which we may communicate without wires, without anything, from one and to the other of the planet, like Nikola Tesla and maybe Einstein also, or other great scientists. They said it. Philosophers have said it since very long, that this connection is there telepathically between people. But then you have to make it scientific in order to be accepted by the public in general. If a person living 200-300 years ago or 500 years ago were to be born now and see what with that awareness, coming to this onto this planet now and see what we can do with this technology, they would be amazed. That seems all a magic, all a miracle. And this is going to grow more and more, and in a very quick way now, because these things in the beginning they take a lot of time to develop, but then once you begin to develop them, it becomes very quick. So in the next 50 years there will be such a change on the planet. And this is evolution, which goes through technology, also helps the evolution. And of course, that's not enough, because scientists may have discovered so many things, but it's always outside. It's always an objective reality. This reality must become subjective, must be experienced inside also. Then it becomes a personal experience. So spiritual practice and scientific discoveries, they have to go hand by hand. And the most bright scientists nowadays are those who are also spiritual people. There are quite a number who, besides being bright scientists, they are also very great meditators. So those are really special people, because they unite both the methods, let's say, in their person. Recently I was listening to a scientist who is also a meditator since long, and he was telling that, was talking about plasma, which is not made of atoms. It's a substance in the universe which is not made of atoms but particles. And he was saying that it has been discovered by an Hungarian scientist maybe 100 years ago, or anyway quite a number of years, decades ago, that this space between the Earth and the Moon is made of, it's a very big something, much bigger than the Earth. And it's a space which is made of plasma, not of atoms. And in that area there live beings which are so much more advanced than us on the Earth. And it's just here, between the Earth and the Moon. Then it has been discovered also by other scientists. He was the first one who gave the hints. I don't remember the name now of this scientist. But then other scientists found out that this is true. They really saw it through some telescopes or some device. So, what is life really? What is this universe? What is this infinite reality? So many possibilities which we can't dream about. That may be between astral plane or causal plane. It's not in this dimension, because it's not what they talk when they talk about black matter or black energy. Is something they call it black because they don't understand what it is. But it's another dimension. It's stepping into another dimension, which can be the astral or the causal. So this is reality, this life, this manifestation is really so huge, so vast that we can't dream about. We can't figure out how big it is and how infinite are the possibilities. So I think that anyway on this planet we are moving quite quick now towards a real step forward. But before we reach something substantial, a lot of negativity is still there, which has to come out because it's in the mind of the people, especially in the mind of those who rule this planet. Those politicians and those wealthy people, because politicians are just puppets in the hands of the big economical power. And these are still so greedy, such bad people, really. And this has to come out, it has to change. But I think a lot of suffering has to come on the earth before this may happen. And it is bad if this suffering comes, it's not bad. Because in order to move forward, this cancer has to be operated and given out. So much of the humanity on this planet is really very much to the ground still. It's still very much just material. Just so focused on themselves, so greedy, so bad, really. They don't care about anybody. They are just afraid of dying. They want to make sure that they will live as much as possible. They build such underground anti-atomic situation which you can't dream about. How they build like towns underground for themselves so that if an atomic war comes they can keep living under there. For what? For what? So this is the level of much of this humanity, and this has to change. We must reach a society in which what we care about is the well-being of others. A society in which we care about everybody. Everybody has to be fine. There should be no this greed. And it will come. But I think much suffering has to be experienced by this, on this planet, by this humanity. You see, after the Second World War, there was quite a jump, at least in Europe, this Western world, because there was really a lot of suffering, a lot of death and devastation. So they understood that this is not the way. And before, between the First World War and the Second World War, it was 20 years. And now, at least for 70 years, there was no war in Europe. But again, it's enough one person or few people who are, of that kind, and again you have it. And if these big powerful people do not reason well and act well, we might really step into big troubles, big suffering. But I hope God will not permit it, because there would be really devastation. So rather than agreeing with you, these people have this kind of understanding. Rather than agreeing with you or giving you something, I die, you die, everybody dies. This is madness, really. So, people on this planet, if we are able to manage getting out of this situation and stepping into a more loving society, more caring society, then I think in the next 100 years it will be totally different on this planet. And we will live a much more spiritual, much more aware, much more conscious life. Much more loving, much more caring, so much better. We will live. Those who will be here, they will live. Going back to God, it's a big business. That's something else. That doesn't happen, I think, as a humanity even living on a planet altogether. At the same time, it's always an individual matter. You have to have this longing for doing this work, going through this journey and go back home. So it's always an individual something. It's never going to be for the whole humanity at the same time. No, because anyway, on this planet, we are all different, we are all at a evolutionary different level. All of us. So each one will have to do his own spiritual work, get control over our thinking mind, our body, our senses, our thinking mind, step into the third eye, open the inner vision, go inside and have this inner journey. So we should not think in terms of the whole humanity. We should think in terms of more and more people taking up such a lifestyle and evolving towards truth, light, and love. But anyway, on this planet there are many groups who are doing a real good spiritual work, and they all contribute towards this evolution of this humanity, for this humanity. Even those who may not be the best, but yet they are doing something. I think the potential that this humanity is having nowadays, it was never here on this planet. Never, since the very beginning. Never. What is possible for this humanity now, it was never possible. This is the best time ever. So we shouldn't see it as so dark. It's not dark. There is still a lot of darkness, but there is also a lot of light coming into play. So there is hope. There is hope. Let us not despair. Once I listened to an interview to a person who had a near-to-death experience, and she said that she went out of the body, she met God, the God that was meant for her, and she asked this God, how is it in this universe? I mean, the Earth planet is at a certain evolutionary level. What's in the other solar systems and on the other planets where there is life? And God told her, there is everything. From the most rudimental, from the most unevolved, from the very beginning to the very end. And she said, can you show me something like this? And boom, they went on a planet where they were living like at the Stone Age. Then they went on a planet in which they were living like on heaven. So it's really like this. Every possibility is there in the universe. From the very beginning to the very end. Where the planet Earth stands, well, it's something in between. Beginning to wake up, let's say. Like somebody has been sleeping for a long time and beginning to wake up. That's where we are at now. Is there any other question?
Why unfertile egg is excluded from our diet? And what is happening on spiritual molecular level when egg is consumed, the unfertile one?
Well, it's not so much because of fertile or non-fertile eggs that the masters of this path decide to exclude them from the diet. According to the yogic point of view, all the food is classified as either sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. And according to this concept, the sattvic food is the most, let's say, light food, that food which helps our consciousness to wake and evolve, grow spiritually. So, according to the yoga system, according to the way the yoga system classifies foods, let's say the meat, eggs, fish, and all these products which are made out of these substances, which are many, they are all of tamasic nature. Rajasic some, tamasic others. Eggs is understood as tamasic, while red meat is understood as rajasic. So it's even worse than meat, we will say, according to yoga concept, because it's more heavy somehow, and also anyway it's a fact that it builds up or creates much cholesterol in the body. So that's one of the reasons. Anyway, all these foods like meat, fish, eggs are classified either as rajasic or tamasic. Rajasic is that gives you too much nervosity, agitation, desires, passions. Tamasic is that which makes you dull somehow. You lose, you don't have this strong will of acting and doing. And those other foods which are vegetables, cereals, legumes, and fruits, they are classified as sattvic. They are not the same sattvic. Let's say cereals and legumes are sattvic, but fruits are even more sattvic than cereals and legumes. Fruits are even more sattvic than vegetables. And if you were to try to go on a diet like this, only let's say only cereals and legumes, or only vegetables, or only fruits for a period, then you would agree with this. I have done all of these on myself. I tried all of these on myself. And I can say that the clearness and the lightness, the fruits, only fruits. When I say fruits, I mean all the fresh and dry fruits, and seeds also. The lightness and the clearness of mind and consciousness that this kind of diet gives is not the same as vegetables. Vegetables is much lighter than cereals and legumes. Cereals and legumes are the most heavy among these sattvic foods. But of course, for most of the people, only fruits is not enough. Only fruits and vegetables also is not enough. So we need to make a balanced diet. We need a combination of cereals, legumes, vegetables, and fruits to have, complete spectrum of what the body needs to keep living and working. This is for most of the people. There are exceptions to this. I can say that I am an exception. I could live very well only on fruits. I've gone sometimes for 5, 6 months, just fruits. And as you know, I've been fasting for 70 days. So I need really very little for my sustenance, for my body functions. But not everybody is like me. So most of the people need a combination of if you don't take meat and you don't take fish and eggs, then you need to have a balanced diet, to have all the minerals, all the vitamins and all the substances, proteins that the body needs. Then you have to have cereals, legumes, vegetables, and fruits, and seeds, and dry fruits. That's a complete diet. You don't miss anything this way. So, eggs, as I said, going back to the point, in yoga they are classified as tamasic food, even worse than meat. That's how it is. So we don't consume them. Anyway, when I became vegetarian in 1972, just by my own choice. How it happened? I used to live in Milan at the time, and I began, it was after I had this spiritual awakening in Amsterdam. Or before, let me see. I want to be sure what I say. No, it was before. It was like in March. This awakening happened in May. So in March I was in Milan, but I was already interested in yoga and Indian philosophy, but I didn't know anything as yet about becoming vegetarian. Nobody ever mentioned this to me. But there was a friend of mine, his name was Osvaldo, he became also an initiate of Master Kripa at some point. And he was already half vegetarian, let's say. I think he refused the meat completely, but maybe he was still eating fish and eggs, something like this. So he told me about this vegetarian diet. And I became right away very alert, very interested. It really rang a bell into my head. So one day we were in Milan in a place, and we were waiting for somebody who had gone in the office to do something. So we were in my car, me and Osvaldo, this man, this boy. And just in front of us there was a truck from which they were downloading these big pieces of, cow meat, these big pieces, which was frozen meat. So he was telling, you see that is it's like a corpse. These are corpses. These were killed who knows how long ago, and people eat these corpses. So this has such an effect on me that I decided from now on I'm never going to eat meat again. So from then on I became vegetarian. And at that time, 1972, it was really something unusual. So when I told my mother about I'm not going to eat meat anymore, she became quite concerned about it. My father was still alive at the time, and we thought this was going mad. Now he's totally mad. And so that's how but I was still eating eggs. So all the year 1972 I became vegetarian, no fish, no meat, but I was still eating eggs because Osvaldo also was eating eggs, the one who introduced me, let's say, to this vegetarian concept. And then I went to India and I met Master Kripal. I wanted to be initiated by him, and they told me, to be initiated you have to give up meat, fish and eggs. So I thought, also eggs. Okay, no problem. I give up, no problem. So right away I gave up also eggs. So I mean, if you care, do you need a reason for it? Do you need an explanation? Master Kripal didn't explain me why. And I didn't ask for an explanation. It was just enough. He asked me to be like this, and so I accepted. He's my master. He wants me to be this way. He wants me to feed myself this way. I do it. Why should I care about eggs? What do I care? What he has given me, it is so much, so big, such a gift. What do I care about the eggs? That was my attitude. But other people might have different attitude. They want explanations, they want why, and because of things. And I don't know.
Could you please talk about the effect of singing holy or devotional songs on the body, mind and spirit? Once you said in a satsang that such songs even do enter in the bone marrow. Many years ago, someone told me, the one who prays singing, prays twice.
Yeah, it's a famous saying. The one who prays singing, prays double, yes. Means has double effect. Well, let's see. You write a poem. The poem is very beautiful already by itself. You write it, if it is a nice poem, you read it, just by reading it loud, it creates some beauty, some nice emotions. If that poem becomes a song with a melody that creates harmony, then of course it's double effect, at least double effect. It can be even more. It depends then on the melody and the way it is sung by the person, because there also singing can be done in so many ways. It can be, let's say, elementary singing, it can be nice singing, it can be professional singing. So according to the way we sing, we produce a certain effect. So singing, we have to learn to do it very well, because if we do it very well, then the effect that we produce on ourselves and those who listen, it is so much more again. That also, a simple singing, elementary singing, let's say, doubles the effect of a prayer, of a poem. Professional singing doubles or even more the singing done in a simple way, non-professional way. So, does it go into the body? As I said before we began this meditation, when I was guiding the meditation, it is a scientific fact. If you expose any fluids to the repetition of a mantra, even if it is verbally done, or the singing of a mantra, and you analyze the molecules of that liquid, especially liquids, more than substance. You analyze the molecules of the liquid before it is exposed to the mantra singing or bhajan singing, and after, you will see that the molecules before, they are like in a chaotic shape. They don't have a nice shape. And once they're exposed to there is a Japanese who has done all these experiments, and then it becomes like a mandala, the molecule. It takes up such a nice form, like a mandala or a yantra. And so it's not theory really anymore, because everything spiritual people used to say before, now they can be analyzed scientifically and really shown that it is true what these people are saying. It really has an effect. So this body is made of 70. We may wonder how is it possible that we are 70% water. But this is again a scientific finding out that it's water, this body. Cells are swimming in water. And 70% of, this body is made of cells. Even the hard tissues like bones, muscles, and the bone marrow, which is inside the bones, even those are made of cells. And these cells are all swimming in water, in liquids. So, this 70% of water which we have in our body is really affected very much by this bhajan singing, mantra singing, but also by very beautiful music, classical music. You see, recently I've found one thing, that yes, spiritual people, those who do meditation, those who do spiritual practice, they bring a lot of goodness to this world, a lot of good vibrations, good energy in this world. But also great musicians, they bring a lot of good vibrations in this world, because music is very powerful. And if it is good music, like classical music or any kind of spiritual music, then it really contributes to uplift, to raise the frequency of this planet. So, music is the most abstract art. Singing is music. So, yes, it really transforms us. And it really, that's why I always insist, when you sit in meditation, first sing 2-3 bhajans, because they really changes the chemicals of your body, and you become more receptive. Master Kipali used to say, bhajan singing is meant to develop receptivity. And it is true. If you sing a couple of bhajans, then meditation is not a waste of time. Meditation becomes so much easier, so much better, so much more enjoyable, so much more profound. So, even if you don't have a very good voice, even if you have to work hard maybe to become good at singing, still is worthwhile. I would advise anybody who has not an easy approach to singing to go and learn from a singing teacher. It's very helpful and it's very good, because it's very good to become good at singing. You create an impact on yourself first of all, and if you're very good, you create a very good impact on other people also. There is no better way of transmitting spirituality than through bhajan singing and through singing holy songs from any tradition, I would say. Like in Christianity, one of the beautiful things that I like of Christianity is this Gregorian singing. That's because few notes, it's very simple. There are just very few notes, like Ajapiare, for instance, no? It's very similar to a Gregorian song. It is just 3 notes. And these are very simple melodies, but very profound. So help yourself. I mean, try to become good at singing. It makes your spiritual practice so much better, so much more effective. And singing, anyway, it's joy. It's even drunkards, when they come together, they drink and sing. Because their intoxication becomes better, more enjoyable. Master Kirpal used to say this. Look at this. Drunken people, they come together and they sing. So those who are intoxicated with God, they should come together and sing and become more intoxicated. And for me, it's really like this. I mean, for me, singing has always been such a happy factor. Since I was a boy, I was always, inclined towards music. I was not born in a family which directed me to learn music, or otherwise I could have become something much better. But as soon as I became, let's say, conscious of something, then I was very much inclined towards music and always towards those good singers who produce very melodious music, And so I had this voice, and since I was a boy, I was always singing, and always helped me to be happy and joyous, take it easy. So when I came to the path, when I went to India and I went to Manav Kendra and I met Master Kirpal, and I found myself in a satsang, and I heard these ladies singing these bhajans. It was such a discovery for me, really. It was not something new, really. I felt right away that this is something I know since always. Just, oh my God, I forgot about this, but I already know about this. And the first time I found myself exposed at satsang with bhajan singing, and many people singing these bhajans, I became so intoxicated right away. I just felt out of this world without even meditating. And then Master, at the peak of this, when I was so intoxicated already, said, now you meditate to everybody there. And I was there, so I had to meditate. And thanks God I was there, because it was really my finding out what we are, human beings, we human beings. I really saw and experienced and found out that we have this body, we are not this body. Because once you get out of this body, you see, oh my God, I'm not this body. It's such a discovery. And it came through bhajan singing. So that's why I give so much value to this. So that's why I use it so much as a practice. Because to me it has always been so beneficial. So good. So yes, it really transforms us. Not only the bone marrow, but also the brain. Well, the brain is also bone marrow. The neurons in the brain, they also become harmonious when we sing bhajans. Otherwise they might be chaotic with all these crazy thoughts that we have in our head. But once you sing the bhajans, they also take a nice flow. So it's not theory, it's not, saying something for the sake of saying it. Nowadays, all what the philosophers and great masters have been saying in the past, it can be proven scientifically. So it's all true. They said we are God in man. You will see, soon they will find out that we are God in man. We all have this potential. We have this divine spark in us. And this spark, we can turn it into a big fire. But we have to really want it, because it's very precious and it is not given for free. It's given only to those who really pay the price through a certain lifestyle. I think for this evening it's enough. So thank you for the questions, and I thank my master for the answers.